In diagram 1, the cue ball is frozen to the long cushion, as in all the examples. The beauty of the solution is in its simplicity. The position of the balls are such that you only have to aim to contact the short cushion first at the corner with just enough speed to score the point. With this in mind, you'll achieve the position as diagrammed. The position in diagram 1A lets the player take advantage of knowing reverse English position shots. With a little more than half ball hit and 2 o'clock English, this shot will set up a big ball position. As mentioned in the preceding diagram, the position in diagram 1B is a classic big ball position. By contacting the first ball 50% full, and with 10 o'clock English, this will send the first ball 3 or 4 cushions and the cue ball 3 rails to score. Diagram 2 is one of my favorites in exhibition to show how a seemingly difficult position can surrender a beautiful next shot opportunity. The white and red balls are 1 ball's width apart, frozen on the first diamond, while the cue rests on the opposite rail, a third of a diamond from the corner. In diagram 2A, the player needs to play the shot with delicate care to leave the first ball in the opposite corner, and by playing the position 4 cushions. A 10% hit in extreme 2 o'clock English works well, along with a slow, exaggerated follow-through. The position diagrammed in 2B is an excellent example of hit, timing, and speed of the cue to make a clean hit on the first ball. The hit is 1/4 ball, the English extreme 10 o'clock, with a slightly elevated cue in order to stroke cleanly through the cue ball. Diagram 3 really doesn't offer much of a choice. Play a ticky behind the red and the ball will travel too long. A fit hit off the outside of the white would be too tough for most, and off the inside of the white just doesn't compute the hair at all. So shooting to the short rail is diagrammed with 12 o'clock English. Once again in diagram 3A, the player needs to take care with the timing of the cue ball and the first ball crossing each other at the middle of the table. By elevating the cue, this gives a little hesitation to the cue ball. With this contact, the first ball is 10% full and maximum 10 o'clock English. Diagram 3B shows another fine example of a big ball position with the third ball not exactly in the corner. The player needs to hit the first ball 2/3 full with extreme 10 o'clock English. A normal, not short stroke is used for this shot. In diagram 0, this is a balkline type shot that requires a surgeon's touch and precision, but you can still make the most of a bad situation. It's critical that you use a very short fist or nip bridge in order to hit the cue ball with maximum 6 o'clock English. Because the cue ball lies closer to the long cushion than the first ball, the player needs to play the position in diagram AA of 4 cushions instead of 3. This way the player can control the first ball to send the 3 cushions to a high percentage lane. Hit the first ball 25% full with extreme 2 o'clock English. The position in diagram 00B should also be played 4 cushions, but this shot needs to be played short 4 rails. By hitting the first ball 2/3 full and applying 1 o'clock English, The player can send the first ball short, long, and back to the opposite short cushion to long again. The shot in Diagram 1 is not only rarely played but rarely conceived by the average player. Typically, such a player would merely just throw up his hands. The angle between the cue ball and first ball does not permit going around the table in the natural way, nor can the shot be played with reverse English into the opposite rail, which turns into running English off the next three. Again, the cue ball and first ball are very close together, half an inch to 1 inch. Here you do need to elevate the cue slightly. That will put a little curve on the ball off the first cushion in order to maintain the extreme 4 o'clock English you must use. We have another big ball position to play after successfully playing a starting position correctly. In Diagram 1A, the player must hit the first ball 1/2 full with extreme 2 o'clock English. For the shot in Diagram 1B, a 30% hit on the first ball and extreme 3 o'clock English will get the results a player strives for in these types of positions.
Beautiful.
In Diagram 2, the cue ball's position is somewhat unique in that it's only about an inch from the first cushion we're going to contact. This shot represents a new system I have to share with you. What we do first here is to locate our cue ball position in relation to a 45-degree angle, the shaded area from the first cushion where to hit and back through the cue ball to the long cushion. Once we've established that, we can estimate what English to put on the cue ball, according to the contact point on the third rail.
Beautiful.
For the position in Diagram 2A, I want to emphasize the importance of the possibility of a kiss just before scoring the point. Try a 20% hit on the first ball with minimum 12 o'clock English. Practice this position with the intention of achieving the correct tempo and timing to avoid the kiss. In Diagram 2B, a smooth normal stroke is needed to pass through the first ball easily. With extreme 3 o'clock English and a 20% hit on the first ball, the player will realize a perfect opportunity for consecutive scoring. In Diagram 3, we have the same cue ball position, but the third rail contact point is in the corner. Remember to keep your line of aim at 45 degrees through the first rail. It will probably look severe to you the first few times you line up shots like this, but trust me, it works. Most players who play the short angle shot in Diagram 3A generally hit the first ball too thin, only because the point is scored more easily, but with no position, because the first ball travels to the short rail instead of the corner or high percentage lane. By hitting the first ball 2/3 full with 10 o'clock English and make speed. The 4-cushion end rail position shot in Diagram 3B is a fine example of this type of position that delivers a big ball position for the player's next attempt. Hit the first ball 15% full with extreme 10 o'clock English.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Diagram 1 figures to confuse the novice and intermediate player alike. First, you must understand that shooting into a cushion first yields the exact opposite cue ball effect that shooting off an object ball would. For instance, when you contact an object ball using follow, the cue ball tends to bend back towards the same cushion you first contacted. When you use draw off an object ball, the cue ball tends to rebound off the cushion sooner, creating a shorter angle. But in striking a rail first, a cue ball with follow will rebound from the rail sooner, and draw makes the cue ball tend to hug the rail with the proper slower speed. So for the diagram shot, the cue ball must rebound quicker off the rail in order to come out long enough to score. And that's why the follow English, where it's forced to use in frozen ball shots, is an ally here. Additionally, you'll need to use a little help from reverse English. That's right, 1 o'clock English to help the ball come out longer yet. Reverse English helps maximize the cue ball's bounce off a cushion.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
In diagram 1A, the player is faced with a mid-table position shot. Many times when playing this shot correctly, the player's next attempt may be a 5-rail shot around the table. This is a result of all 3 balls being located somewhere in the middle of the table. To play the shot as diagrammed, hit the first ball 1/2 full and apply 1 o'clock English. Here is the result in diagram 1B of playing the previous position properly. The player has a 5 or 6 cushion shot, which he will leave the player with a big ball position. The player needs to contact the first ball 15% full with extreme 10 o'clock English. The shot in diagram 2 shows up with slight variations 2 or 3 times in a typical 50-point game. It's consistently misplayed because most players don't even see the correct shot, let alone know the natural position is possible too. Mostly the average player will try to hit the first ball extremely thin and score the natural around the table. But that's a very tough hit to rely on. And when players don't think they can make such a hit, they'll try to go off the outside of the ball instead and get their third rail just before scoring. That is far too small a target for top players, let alone less skilled. Here again in diagram 2A, the shot needs to be played 4 cushions short for position. Hit the first ball 50% full with 1 o'clock English and a short stroke. Diagram 2B requires the player to hit the first ball 1/3 full to send that first ball toward the opposite corner, long rail first. Apply a little less than 3 o'clock English. Diagram 3 shows the shot often overlooked, especially on European heated tables. It's another reverse backup shot, but this one arrives to score after contacting 5 cushions. In diagram 3A, the player has a choice to play the off-angle natural 3 cushions or the reverse English shot as diagrammed. The question is when to play which shot. If the player needs 1 point to win the match, the 3 cushion natural is the correct shot, but position is difficult to achieve if you need more than 1 point. This DVD is all about playing position, so with that in mind, the player should play the reverse English shot by hitting the first ball 25% full with 2 o'clock English. By playing the reverse English shot in the previous position, the player now has an opportunity for consecutive scoring, as in diagram 3B. Hit the first ball 2/3 full with minimum 1 o'clock English and a short stroke.